Hello Year 7 and welcome to your video of how to make pizza for your Year 7 activities week. The first thing that you'll need to do is to weigh your flour, and you will need 250 grams of strong bread flour. If you can't get strong bread flour, then you can use plain. As you're weighing, if it goes slightly over 250 grams, again, that doesn't matter. You need to add in 1 teaspoon of yeast, or add 1 sachet of yeast to your flour. This is because it will create carbon dioxide, which will help to make your pizza rise. If yeast can be still tricky to get hold of, so a teaspoon of baking powder can be added to the flour. You'll also need a pinch of salt, so just add in a quick pinch because this will help stretch the gluten and make the pizza dough extra stretchy. Yeast needs warm water in order to produce carbon dioxide, so add around about 50 millilitres of hot water from the kettle to a jug. My top tip here is to use the water from the mozzarella bag rather than waste it, because it has the flavour of the cheese to it, to add in the cold water. To the hot water, you will then need to make it up to 250 millilitres of water altogether. So 50 of boiling hot water, 200 of cold water. And if you have mozzarella, please use the water that the mozzarella comes in. Now add your water in a little bit at a time to form a dough. In school, I prefer you to use a spoon to combine the dough together. Keep adding little bits of water at a time until a dough is formed. It will look a little bit rough to begin with, so please don't worry, but use that spoon to get to the edges of the bowl to combine all the flour. You may not use all your water, so please don't worry, but if your dough gets a little bit too sticky, then add a little bit of extra flour in, but be careful to not add in too much. Using your hands, get as much dough out of the bowl as possible and place this onto a floured work surface. My top tip is to leave your bowl soaking in cold water to make it easier to clean. Gently, and I mean gently, just turn over your dough in a little bit of flour. It will start to become smoother and stretchier, but this will take around about 15 minutes to get your dough nice and smooth. Just gently turn it over, and as it becomes firmer, you can be a little bit more vigorous with your kneading. Once your dough's been kneaded for a good 10 to 15 minutes, please leave it to rest. For the tomato base, you can either use tinned tomatoes or tomato puree, or some tomato pasta sauce, or a sauce that you've made already. Here I have a tin of tomatoes. Because it'd be quite wet, I'm draining the juice away from the main bulk of the tomatoes using a glass bowl and a sieve. Just stir this gently so the juice drops through, and this will stop your pizza base from becoming too wet. Use a pizza tray or a baking tray and dust this lightly with flour to stop your pizza base from sticking. On a floured surface, start to push out your pizza. I begin to prefer just by pushing it out with my hands very gently. You can use a rolling pin, but just be careful that you don't lean too heavy because it may stick. So you can see me here just pushing out the edges of my pizza with my hand and just turning it over on the work surface. In a moment I will use a rolling pin just to push it out to the outer edges, and I will always look at the size of my pizza tray to make sure that it will fit onto the actual pizza tray. In order to pick up your pizza, if you leave your rolling pin halfway across the dough, it will make it easier to pick up. Now you can add your tomato base to your pizza dough. It won't go on smoothly and evenly, but that will change once it's in the oven. Don't go too far out of the pizza and leave a couple of centimetres on the edge so that you can pick up and hold your pizza slices. So just smooth your tomato sauce, your tin of tomatoes over your pizza dough. If you're using a tin of tomatoes, you probably won't use them all, and you can pop these in the fridge to use for another pizza or to use for a pasta dish. I'm using mozzarella on my pizza, and it's just a case of tearing it and placing it over the pizza. If you're going to use cheddar, please get a grater and grate your cheddar cheese ready to go onto your pizza, or any other hard cheese. You may be using goat cheese. This can be crumbled to go over, or a different type of cheeses. But if you've got a crumbly cheese or a soft cheese, you can just break this up and put it onto your pizza. I'm adding olives here, and I've just cut these up on a green chopping board, and I'm adding some basil leaves, but I'll put some more on for presentation once I've finished. Your pizza will be ready to go into the oven in a moment. Please ensure that you've preheated your oven. If you have electric, then you can put this on at around about 200 degrees. If you have a gas oven, it can go on at maybe gas 7 to get that to cook. Please ensure you have adult supervision when taking in and out of your pizza on the oven. One way to know that it's cooked after around about 12 minutes is to tap the edge of the pizza, and if it sounds hollow, it is cooked.